Good morning everyone, happy Tuesday. Here we are for our primary 4 to 7 art session. Welcome to my Dunbarney primary pupils, welcome to Abernethy primary pupils, and welcome to anyone that's new. We may well have some brand new users because things are now getting put onto YouTube as well, so we might end up having a few more artists joining us. I hope you're all great today. Any questions, any comments, just ping them to me as we're going along. And some of you will be joining live and some of you may well be joining afterwards. So that's great because you can pause things as you go along. Okay, so it's awesome to see you all. Today we are going to be thinking about our holidays. They're not far away now. We won't be able to go anywhere exotic, but they're not far away now. And we are going to create a sunset picture. We're going to imagine that we're standing in a cave looking out at the sunset. So I pinged some photographs of sunsets onto my Facebook page earlier. Hopefully you got a chance to see them. I'm having printer issues today. I did try and print them off, but for some reason they're not printing in colour. So apologies for that. So I've actually got an iPad here to show you them as we go along. Harris's iPad, yeah, that's right, Alex. Just for some inspiration. So as you might have heard, Alex is with me as well this morning. Harris is way out with his dad. Okay, so resources that you will need for today. Hopefully you've had a look at the sunset picture so you've got a clear idea of what a sunset looks like, thinking about all the colours that you'll need. What you'll need, no you don't. What you'll need is, we are going A3. If you want to go smaller or bigger, that's up to you. We're going A3 sugar paper. That's the quite rough paper. It's not smooth, so it works really, really well with the pastels that we're going to be using. If you're using smooth paper, what you'll probably notice is it just wipes off really easily. This paper, if you looked at this underneath a microscope, it would have tiny, tiny little holes in it. So it's quite grippy. So it holds materials like soft pastels, oil pastels really well because the dust gets trapped into the little holes and it doesn't remove. A smooth paper doesn't have that, so it just wipes off, so it's no use. This paper, while we're talking about paper choice by the way, this paper however is horrendous and pretty useless for painting on if you're using water. Because as soon as you add water to it, it just goes into like a pulpy paper mâché mess. So this paper's not great for painting on if you're using water. If you're not using water then it's fine, but if you're using watercolours or if you're planning on mixing a lot of your colours with water or another substance, this paper's useless. So this paper's great for pastel work, charcoal work, oil pastel work, but it's not so good for painting on. Right, probably going to have our paper portrait ways, but it's up to you if you want to go landscape. Another thing that you're going to need, we are using soft pastels. You don't have to use the soft pastels if you don't have them. That's quite a niche sort of market, so you might not have those at home. If you've got oil pastels, you can use those. If you want to go for thick tempera paint, go for it. But again, remember what I said there about the watercolours. If you're using this paper and watercolours, don't. But you could do a watercolour one on white cartridge paper. So you'll need something colourful. We're using, as I said, the soft pastels. Now, if you joined us for our Blossom branch, you will remember that these are the messiest things in art. Not paint, it's not paper mâché, it's not clay, it's pastels. So make sure you've covered the table. If you're using soft pastels, make sure you've covered yourself. And when you're using them today, try and get a really, really nice posture. So ideally, if you're a proper artist, you should be standing up anyway. I have to sit down so I can see you all. So stand up nice and tall, sit up nice and tall in your chair. Don't slouch on top of your work. Always work from the top to the bottom, never bottom to top, so you're not reaching up over it. If there's a group of you around the table, you need to borrow something from someone else, ask to have it passed you, don't lean over to grab it. And yeah, just sit up nice and tall in your seat. Try and keep your elbow up and try not to smudge it because you don't want to ruin your work as you're going along. So pastels, sheet of A3 paper. For step 2, for creating the cave, you need a piece of black paper that's the same size as your base sheet. Now I say the same size, to make life easier, I've actually done a sneaky little trick where I've actually trimmed a tiny, tiny section of this off the sides. That's just so that when I overlap my two sheets, we don't have that thing of some of the orange poking under. Okay, so I've just trimmed a tiny, like about 2 millimeters off both sides. If you want to do that, go for it. I've done yours as well. Okay, so I've got the black paper here for step 2. I've also got to draw my figure, a pencil. We're going to talk a little bit about how to draw a figure really easily at the end. Yep, soft pen. It's a 6B, yeah. And some nice paint brushes, thin and thick. And black liquid paint, which Alex showed you right at the very beginning. Do you want to stick that on the screen again? Black liquid paint. Okay, like that stuff. You'll also need glue for sticking your 2 pieces of paper together. We're just going for Pritt Stick. If you want to use PV, that's up to you. Right, let's get started. So, I'm just going to fire up Alice's iPad. So, we've got some gorgeous sunset pictures here just to sort of zoom in on. So, I want you to use your creativity, use your imagination a little bit. Here, love that one. That's one that I'm going to use as my inspiration. Okay, so don't worry about the cave just now. Just worry about the sunset. At the minute, you're standing on the beach. You're not in the cave yet. Okay, so for now, what I want you to do is decide, are you having your paper portrait or landscape? I'm going portrait. And you're going to split it. If that goes off, will you fire the code in later on? That's a nice idea. So you're going to split that in the middle for your horizon line. I said in the middle. It doesn't have to be in the middle. So you're going to split it halfway on the page for your horizon line. Edge to edge. Okay, so just something like that. Okay, now what we're going to do with the chalks is we're just going to keep going left to right. I'm a right-handed person, so I'm going to go left to right all the time. And remember what I said, work from the top to the bottom. If you go the opposite way, you'll probably end up smudging things. So now what I'm going to do is I'm always sweeping my colour across the way. I'm just going right up to the top with my chalks. Okay, don't know if you can see that or not. And the great thing is with the chalks is you can overlap colours, so you can get really, really nice mixes of your chalks in. Boys and girls, when I'm in class, always want to use their fingers to smudge, which is fine, as long as you're up for washing them at the end. Or sometimes I provide them with some cotton wool to do it. Some people hate the feeling that chalk gives you, but when you blend it in the middle like that, you end up with a really, really nice graduated blend. So blend your colours really, really nicely. And of course you can even put, you know, other lines on top. Okay, so you're just going to fill that whole space now with colour. Just leave the chalks out, darling, instead of putting them back on time, because I keep needing to get them out again. It's okay, we can tidy up at the end. Okay. So just sweeping right across, left to right, not going up and down, not swirling round. I sometimes use the chalk on its side because it just covers covers the paper much quicker. Use your fingers to smudge. If you don't like the feeling of that, go and get yourself some cotton wool. I like it as well. You love using this. This is like what we were using for our space scenes a few weeks back. Probably the most successful art lesson I think I've done actually. So thank you, Alex, because it was your suggestion. It's always a good one in the classroom as well. Just need a little bit more purple in there. Okay, so the sky's coming along really, really nicely. I need to get some really bright. Is there really white? No, there's the white there. It's a really awful light outside today. I've just sent the kids, the wee ones out with their dad. I feel like it's going to chuck it down in Abernethy in about a minute. So maybe should have had a wee lights on in here. I hope you can see me okay at home. It was a beautiful morning when I woke up, but it's gotten really bad lately. I'm just going to put a sun in mine. You don't have to put this in, by the way. I just think it adds more effect. So the good thing is with these chalks is you can actually work on top, so you can layer them. They're great media for layering your artwork. You get really, really nice blended effect. Quite atmospheric as well. Okay, so start to come together. My sun isn't quite perfect shape. Okay, and I'm just going to put some of that bright clouds across. There's some, I'm noticing there's birds on this scene, but I might paint those on at the end. You could draw them on.
I put birds than people.
Well, you can. Yeah. Alex doesn't want to do people today? I've had enough of people.
Everyone knows
that you hate them. But we've been doing a lot of people lately and he's had enough. But that was why I tied this lesson in next, because I thought it was actually still looking at people technically. Still looking at the figure. Right, so that's just a quick sunset done. Okay, now you'll notice the difference between the sky, yeah, if you want, the difference between the sky and the sea are just the lines that you see. So the sky is much more curvaceous, it's much more sinuous. Okay, the clouds, you know, they move up and down the way. The sea, you'll notice, you can see all the black lines in it, and it's a bit more direct. Okay, so just because you want to have it so that your sky looks like a sky and your sea looks like a sea. Otherwise, it's just going to look like a massive sky. So make sure you get some of those textural lines in it. I need to get some of that light blue blend in a bit more naturally. The good thing is you're doing this at home right now, so if you're starting to get messy, you need to go and wash your hands, Alex, see in a second, I'm going to actually ask you to go and get from the drawer over there, Miriam's baby wipes. Baby wipes are a great thing to have. Mrs. Cant at Dumbarton, primary 1 teacher, in the big drawer, always has baby wipes, and she uses them all to the kids, and that's one of my things that I've picked up as a teacher. Now I always have baby wipes with me when I'm teaching. Thank you. You don't need to make any extra noises. So if you are starting to get messy, a wet wipe's just brilliant. Saves you having to go to the toilet every 2 seconds to wash up. Right, so I'm happy with my sky now. I would love to get some birds on there, but I'm going to do that when it all comes together. Right, so now I'm going to go on to my sea. Now, the sea is a reflective surface. So often people, or children, some adults as well actually, when I ask them, when they for example, paint or draw a vase of flowers, they always make the water bright blue. I blame curtains for that, to be fair. But if I say to them, what colour is water, they always say to me blue. And I say, really?
Clear.
You know, if I was to get a glass of water and
sky.
Thank you. If I was to get a glass of water and it was bright blue, would I drink it? Of course I wouldn't. Of course you wouldn't. So the water, please remember that water is always clear. And when you get a big pool of water, it acts like a mirror. So whatever is above it is always mirrored below. So we have this idea that water is blue because when we get sent postcards from beautiful countries, often they have blue sky and it's a blue surface that you're seeing. That's if you're in a beautiful country. If you're in Scotland, for example, a day like today, our
water's always just clear.
Our lochs are always grey, murky grey because of the sky above it.
But sometimes it's blue.
Sometimes it's blue on the rare 1 week of the year. It's never going to be clear today. So you'll notice that the sea on this one has got some of that colour that's from above it. So whatever colours you've done in your sky, you will want to have in your sea, otherwise your picture will look quite strange. It will not look realistic. It won't be as sharp as the top. It will be much more fragmented, but just bear that in mind. So keep all the chalks or whatever it is that you've been using out, because you'll need these for step 2. But you'll notice because it's dusk here, it's much, much darker. So you'll also need quite a lot of, you know, navies and blacks in there as well. And you'll notice there's a lot of lines where the waves are. So when you start to piece your sea together, really, really think about trying to get those colours in. So I need to get some of that red in. I need to get that orange in. What is it? Wait, did you put the yellow back? Can you pass me the yellow? Down. Okay, I thought you were asking me a question. Okay, so it's much more flowing this time, and there'll be a lot more lines going across it for the waves. So for example, this is when you just started, but you're looking for that sort of effect.
Red or some purple.
Yeah, you've got your own purple over there. Stop stealing mine all the time. Would you say that lockdown's brought us closer together, Alex?
I like lockdown.
You like lockdown?
I like everyone else.
Unlike everyone else. Why do you like lockdown? Unlike everyone else. What do you like about it?
No, I like it.
Do you like spending so much time with your mum?
That's actually all I like.
That's-
All I do.
Do you like spending lots of time with your mum?
Yeah,
Are you not Mrs. Hodgkinson and Mrs. Campbell?
I am.
You are, yeah.
I want to go back to school, to be honest.
You made your mind up a minute ago, you said you were enjoying lockdown, now you want to go back to school.
But I still think I want to go back to school. I know I can't choose.
Well, hopefully you're going to, fingers crossed, get to do a bit of both, aren't you, when you all go back?
So you're going to get some holidays.
See what we're doing just now? Having a wee chit chat. This is why often when you come in my classroom it's never peaceful, it's never quiet. There's always chatter going on in the background. That's because you're in the zone. And when you're being creative, it's natural to have a wee blather about what you're doing or life in general. I always used to worry that when people with authority came into my classroom that I had to be deadly silent. But I soon started to realise that that's not a very creative environment. Okay, so we've got our sea and we've got our sky. The only thing that I would see, oh Alex darling, can you put the code back in there? The only thing that I would say that's going wrong about my sea right now is that there's none of those little wavy lines that I suggested that you put in at the beginning. So I'm just now going to over the top of my colour, and I probably aren't going to smudge these as much. I'm just going to put some little lines over the top. The closer it gets towards the cave as well, it's getting darker. There's actually some light ones as well. Okay, so don't make it as smudged this time round. Make it a bit more textured. I haven't done this lesson for a good couple of years now, because it takes quite a long time. It normally has to happen in 2 art lessons, and as I've said before, my art lessons only last 50 minutes in the classroom.
Well,
So
we've already done all this.
Yeah, I know. It's a tricky one to do in a one session, and normally what happens is we put these to the side and then do the cave bit next week. But then what happens is these all get smudged up, they get quite messy, come back to them the following week and they're not as nice as they were. So this isn't normally a lesson I can do in the classroom, which is a shame, because it's one of my favourites. I think the last time I did it was at Millenthorpe, when I used to work at Millenthorpe Primary. And in fact the picture that I put as the thumbnail is by a girl that I used to teach at Millenthorpe, and she did the most stunning job of it. It was always one of my favourites. It was one of those moments where I did my example and then she did hers, and hers was like a million times better than mine. That happens quite a lot as you go up to school. That happens a lot if you work in secondary school. Okay, so we've got my sea. Yeah, that's fine. And then we've got our sky. Yeah, it's okay. You've got baby white, so you went and got me some Mamiya. Other brands are available. Right, these are also really, really good for if you end up getting chalk on your black bit of paper. Right, so I think we've probably done enough for now. I would like to get some more of that light that's going along the horizon line. I keep talking about horizons. I don't know if you know what the horizon is. The horizon is where the sea meets the water. Often down the school, my children never put a horizon line in. It's one of my little bugbears as a teacher. I always say to them, there's like a bit of sky, a big white space, bit of grass. And I always say, what's happening in that space in between? You know? It's always a... Right, so, I think I'm quite happy with this, I think. That's looking okay. I've still got some birds and things to put on top, but I'm going to do that towards the end. It's one of these lessons that you can just tinker with and tinker with. A charcoal pencil would be quite nice at this point, actually. You happy with yours, Alex? Kind of. Okay, I'm going to put this to the side for now, just to show you our next steps. Okay, and he's just still tinkering away with that, which is fine. Right, so next up, I don't need these chalks anymore either, so I'm just going to put them back in the box. Next up, we are going to create our cave. Okay, this is when you've done all this work and you realise actually I'm going to cover up most of that picture. So that's why you'll notice Mrs. C didn't go right to the edges with the paper, because with the pastel, because I knew that I was going to cover that with a hollow shape. So what we're going to do just now with our black paper is we're going to take a hollow shape out of the middle. Okay, now it's actually really, really simple to do. All you have to do is pinch it a little bit in the middle and give it a wee tear. That's all you have to do at the minute. Okay, so you've got a tiny, tiny tear. Now, with this, I want you to take your time over it. I don't want you to just quickly thrash a hollow shape in the middle, because you'll have no control over it. And keep your chalk piece quite close to hand, because you might need to lay it on top just to see. So what I'm now going to do is I'm just going to get my fingers into that space and I'm just going to tear a little hole in the middle. That's all of tone at the minute. Okay, Alex, you're just going to pinch. Hello? Hello? You're just going to pinch your paper and tear a little hole at the middle. So eventually what will happen is you will lay this on top of there. Now obviously that's far too small, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to make it get bigger, but I'm taking my time. I'm keeping my fingers really close together like the pincers of a crab, and I'm just bending them to tear it. I'm not going to, I'm just bending a little bit at a time.
In the middle?
In the middle, yeah, and I'm just, so you need to pinch and hold and then just tear it. And I'm thinking about this, the shape of my cave that I want to have. Do I want to have it more square? Do I want to have it hollow? Do I want to have it oval? Do I want to have it round? What sort of shape do you get? Please tell me you've not got a paper cut.
No, I just actually knew on the paper.
Okay. So I'm just going to let my hole, my cave hole, just get a little bit bigger, like almost like a spiral. I'm just tearing it slightly bigger all the time. Okay, so now I've got this. So it's no way big enough yet. So I'm just going to keep going. And I'm just tearing a tiny bit at a time, keeping my fingers really close to the edge. I'm actually turning the paper as I'm tearing. The paper's really weird, isn't it? Just need to slow down a bit. And don't get too close to the edge of the paper because it might rip. If it does rip, by the way, across the way, just leave it because when you glue it down, you can always join it back together again. If you're doing this in a class with 30 odd, one of them will always rip right to the edge and cause a disaster for themselves and get quite upset. But I'm not going to give out loads of extra sheets of black paper. You get one sheet each. If you muck it up, then we just need to deal with it. So just slow down when you're tearing. Just do a little bit at a time. And keep checking your chalk. Keep checking how that's looking. Okay, so you'll notice this direction, I can't see my sun. So I'm actually going to flip it over now. See if I can pick up that way a bit better. No, what about if I put it up and down the way? Yeah, getting a little bit of it if I put it up and down the way. But I'm still not seeing enough for me. So I'm still going to tear a little bit more of that off at that side. So I'm just taking a little slither off. Yeah, so as I'm saying, if you maybe rip right across, don't worry, when you glue it down, you can always glue it back together again. Don't sellotape it though. That'll show up. It's one of those cases where less is more. Ripping a little bit at a time is much, much better. Okay. That's looking great now. I feel like I want to take a little bit more off the top.
The rocks actually look like a ripped piece of paper.
Oh, well, you can paint rocks on. I mean, you could. That's a great idea. Alex is just saying the rocks on the picture look like ripped pieces of paper. So actually, what you could do if you wanted to, I never even thought of that, Alex, is you could actually tear these bits and actually stick them, you know, into your sea. Gosh, you're so clever. You don't even know how clever you are sometimes. Some of the things you come out with. Okay, I'm just going to take one tiny bit off the bottom and then I think I'm done. I was going to paint the rocks on, but this one's saying we need to collage them on, which is just a great idea. Right, so these two bits will glue together. So I'm just going to get the glue stick, which seems to have gone missing from our table. Where's the glue stick's gone? Okay, hiding behind the black paint. Now, don't keep lifting this up and down because you'll start smudging the pastels. What I would do is just lift up a corner at a time and just put a little bit of glue down in that corner. You don't have to have it glued all over for this to work. Okay. And make sure that the piece of paper underneath isn't peeking out at the edges like mine's doing right now. Make sure it's actually hidden well behind, because you don't want people to realise how you've done this. You don't want them to think, how did they get that chalk scene on that black bit of paper and how did they get that torn edge? You want people to think this is actually one piece of paper. You don't want them to realise it's two bits stuck together. So make sure you cover up the edges with the black paper. So I'm just gluing a corner at a time. Abby, are you watching today? Are you doing okay? Notice your mum's on. Okay, right, I think I've glued that in place. In my experience, the cheaper Pit sticks are never great. They're always just like really watery, they're cheap for a reason, they're always really watery, they never stick very well. Pit stick over time as well doesn't, it eventually dries out and the paper dislodges, so you probably would want to use PVA glue here. Well, we just went for this just because it was quicker and easier. Okay, so we've got that. And I'm just going to give Alex a few seconds just to finish off because he's still in the middle of doing that. And yeah, we're going to move on to if you want to have a figure on yours. I know that Alex doesn't want to have a figure. While we're talking about what you were saying about maybe sticking some of these little bits of paper on top, I'll show you what it'll look like. I'll just stick some of it on. The only thing to remember about that is you will see reflections and shadows from the rock. So if you are going to stick something like that on your picture, like a random rock, what I would then do is get a little bit of black. Oh, that's not stuck in there. I would get a little bit of your black chalk and put some lines on underneath it.
Put it in the sea.
Well, what did you think?
Put it here.
Why would there be a rock up in the sky?
No, like in the cave.
Oh, in the cave?
Yeah.
Well, you won't see it because it's a silhouette. Okay, so if you are going to put something like a rock, you'll probably find that you've got shadows underneath it. Oh, I like that, Alex.
Like the cave.
One final tip for you actually is when you're gluing this, don't put the glue on the chalky bit because the chalk will congeal with the glue and you'll lose all of your nice flat edges. It will go a bit clumpy. So make sure you put your glue on the black paper. Right, talking about figures next, so I'm just going to let Alex will be ripping in the background because he still hasn't stuck his down. But I just went through my photo packs earlier today to try and find some photos. These are actually left over from yesterday from our Katie Marag pictures that we did with Primary 1 to 3. So this is just a photo of my middler, Harris. And if you look at that from a distance, it looks almost like a silhouette. Okay, so you next are going to put, hopefully, a figure that's standing in the cave. There should not be a space between the cave and your figure. Because if there is, that then makes it look like it's jumping up in the sky. Unless, of course, that's your plan. So your person will be standing somewhere around about here. So make sure you incorporate that when you draw your figure. Now, before I even go near that with black paint and probably destroy it, what I'm going to do first of all is have a little practice just on a plain white piece of paper with a pencil of how I'm going to draw this figure. Okay? Now, a great art teacher friend of mine, Mr. Denny, did a brilliant art lesson yesterday on the figures and gestures. I didn't even know that was the word for what a figure looks like when it's standing in a pose. It's really, really good. And it's all about looking at the main bones of the body. So the spine, the shoulders, the hips, the legs and the arms, and obviously the head as well. So it was a brilliant, brilliant session. So if you're terrible at drawing figures, look him up. It's Mr. Denny. Mr. Denny's an American guy. He's really, really good. Right, so I'm just going to have a wee practice at John Harris while Alex is doing that. Alex, I know today doesn't want to do a figure. He's told me that already and I'm happy with that. So if I look at Harris now, if I look at the angle of his shoulders, and if I try and get that into my sketch, just by drawing a little line like that, okay? If I then look at the way his spine's going, now don't forget your spine also becomes your neck. So it always runs down the middle. Okay, then if I look at the way he's got his hips, now depending on the way that he's standing, his hips will probably also have changed. Okay, then I'm just going to look at the way his legs go. And I'm using, you'll notice that I'm doing this a lot with my pencil. This is me checking angles. I do this a lot when I'm drawing. I put my pencil on top of what it is I'm trying to draw, and then that gives me an idea of the direction, the angle it goes in. Because his leg, don't forget your leg's in 3 parts. From the hip to the knee, you've got your thigh. From the knee to the ankle, you've got your shin. And then you've got your foot. Okay? So it shouldn't just ever be a straight line. There should always be a slight bend in it somewhere. So I've got his hip, bone coming down there. It's then coming back on itself, and his foot is coming out at an angle. Then I've got a second leg. His second leg comes down and it goes straight, and they actually overlap. Okay, so you've got that going on. His arms are coming out the way, and his hand stops just shy of his hip bone. It's almost like standing against his thigh. His other arm, can't see all of it, it's coming right down at the side there, and his hand's coming in at the side. And then of course his head, which is always smaller than his shoulders, will be in the middle. Okay, so that's how you would create a gesture, a figure gesture. So pick a figure, pick the way it's standing, draw the simple lines of the gesture, and then all you want to do, because it's a silhouette you're doing, you won't see clothes, you won't see skin, you won't see hair strands, you just see the outside shape of it. So now what you would do is you would just go around that and pad it out a little bit. So you would look at the outside silhouette of it all. If you're terrible at doing figures, this is a great lesson to do actually, because you're not actually having to worry about features on the face, you're not having to worry about the way the clothes work. All you're worrying about is actually the outside shape. What's wrong, honey? That was fine. Well, I managed to get it to work. Okay. Let's end up with that. And then what you can do is you can shade all that in, you can add clothes and all the rest of it. Now for us, I'm just going to draw that, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint all that black. That whole figure would be black. I've also got a really, really nice one of Alex here. He'll not like that, but it's a really, really nice one. I'm just thinking. So if you look at it from a distance, it's like a shadow and a silhouette. So now on my cave picture, I'm just going to, first of all, before I go near it with the paint with a pencil, I'm just going to do the gesture. I'm also going to have to think about the size of my figure. So I'm just going to have his head here, and he's looking down. Seems to be... Pardon?
Depressed.
I'm looking... You're not depressed, you're on your holidays. You would have been very, very happy. Looking at his backbone. Looking at his hips. His leg, he's got one leg in front of the other. One comes down straight. And don't forget, his foot will be right down there. And the other one also comes down straight. And his feet will actually be in the cave. Okay, and then we've got his shoulders. Just going right across. And then a battery down, got 2%. Shoulders going to cross. One's, because he's...
2%?
No, 10.
Thank you, sorry.
And then his arms coming down, his hands resting on his thigh, and that arm's coming out at a slight angle, and again coming down at an angle. Okay, so that's just the gesture at the minute, the gesture of the person. Now we're going to pad it out. So now this is when you soften it, so you have a look at the shape of the shoulder. He's actually wearing a hoodie here, it looks like, so I'm going to get a bit of that bulge in there. You won't see the hoodie though, you're only looking at the outside shape. So if I could cut that figure and draw around it, that would be a good way to do it. Or if you could put a bit of acetate over the top of it and just draw the outside shape, this would get you a really, really nice gesture. In fact, that might be a wee tip for the future. I know Mr. Denny did that yesterday with some of his pictures. Okay, so the hand will go in there. How are you getting on? Have you stuck that down yet? Oh, you're making some rocks because you're not wanting to do a figure, are you? Right, there's a space in between his legs. I need to get in. Sorry, I've gone very, very quiet because I'm concentrating. There's me saying that there should normally be noise in the classroom. If you're concentrating, there certainly shouldn't be. Okay, so I can't see his shoes because they're going to be in the cave. They're going to be covered up. And there's his legs. Okay, I actually think. Just go back and look at his shape of his head. Okay. I think I got this extra block of paper. So you've got something like that. So Ali's looking out to sea. Okay, now you're going to paint all that black, so don't worry about the spine, don't worry about the shoulder line, don't worry about the overlaps, because now that's all going to get painted black with your thick black paint. Or if you've got pens, you can always, if you've done painting, you can paint on top of this. Don't use pens on top of the chalks, because they'll clog up the nibs and all the ink, they won't work anymore. So ideally you're wanting black like with paint here. So I'm going to paint that whole thing. Now, when I've done this in the past, we have done this as the Michael Morpurgo book. I think it's, I can't remember the name of it. It's the one with the boy that gets shipwrecked. Kinsuke's Kingdom, that's the one. This is what we've done in the past. So this is actually where this lesson came from. Alex, could you pass me the flat paint, please? So it has a dog. He has a dog with him. So you might even want to put a little dog down there. Could you just...
It was flying.
It wasn't flying.
It was flying.
Less is more with the paint. We don't need enough paint to paint the whole of my kitchen. You just need a little bit for this figure. Get a thin paintbrush and go around those thin pencil lines first. And then with a chunkier paintbrush, you can always fill that in on the inside. If you make any mistakes, you're going to have to live with them at this point. You cannot rub out any pencil lines at this point because you'll also lift off all the chalk. So that's why it's maybe a good idea to practice your gesture, practice your figure on a plain sheet of white paper before you do this. Otherwise, you are probably going to destroy the whole thing. You done enough then? You're not doing the figure, are you?
What else I want to do with that?
What about doing some birds in the sky or something? You really not want to do a figure? No, that's fine, I don't mind. And at home you don't have to do a figure, by the way, if you don't want to. Don't feel you have to. So I'm just going over those pencil lines just now. Because it's black paint we're using, I don't need to put the bottom half of my figure onto the cave. So I don't need to put the feet on. And now that I have got the outside lines done, I can get a slightly chunkier brush and quickly fill that in. Okay. So I've just got that just now. Right, so I'm just going to take a chunkier brush now and just fill that in on the inside. You need quite a lot of this thick paint because the chalk's acting like a barrier on your paper. It's quite hard to paint. I might even want to put some...
Wait, if I put a bird in front of the sun, would that make our shadow more?
It might do. It might do. You might actually find you've got to do this in 2 layers. If it's thin paint, we've got quite good paint here. It's like an acrylic, so it works quite well. But if you've got quite a thin paint at home, you maybe find that it's not working too well at this point. Right, so I've now got my figure, the silhouette figure, looking out to sea. And I guess to finish off, as we were just sort of saying, you could, with thin brush, add even more detail. So you could put in some birds up in the sky.
Can you put a little baby bird in there?
Oh yeah. You could even put in on the horizon like a little boat or something.
Is there any way to speed up the sun?
Pardon?
Oh,
That's lovely.
okay.
I really like that. Okay, so that's us. That's how you create these amazing silhouette sunset pictures. Alex, thank you so much for that rock suggestion. That looks really good. I wish I'd done that before. So that's us, yeah. Pretty much finished. Hope you enjoyed it. Alex has done an awesome job as well. I can't wait to post his online. So please, when you're finished, send me a photo of what they look like so I can get a little folder pack with all the photos to give other people inspiration. Don't forget to spread the word. This will now be posted on both Facebook and YouTube if you want to do it. Don't worry about the materials. I know it feels like there's an awful lot that we use today, but you can obviously go away and do this in your own slant. You can use pencils, you can use paints, you can use oil pastels, you can do whatever you want. You don't have to use the chalky pastels. You don't even have to do the black paper. You can paint the silhouette if you wanted. So have fun with it. Let me know how you get on. Next week's art lesson, we are obviously going to stick with this theme for a little while. So we are going to be thinking a little bit more about summer. So maybe looking at some fish, maybe doing some fish pictures. What was the other plan? Can't remember now. I need to look at it. Oh yeah, I was going to make like little landscape postcards that you could maybe send to your family if you're missing them and stuff. And the inspiration of like the Impressionists. So if there is anything you want to do, give me a message. We've only got a couple of weeks left to term, which is crazy. So that means another couple of weeks of lessons, because I'm assuming in August I'll be back at work. So we won't really be able to do this anymore. Who knows what will happen in August. So give me a wee message if there's something you want to do. Post me your pictures and stay safe. Lots and lots and lots of love, and thank you so much for taking part. It means so much to me. You take care. Bye bye.